Thank you, Olivia. Indeed, Nick Lindsay has a new book, and here it is, and there are others over here on the table where you'll be able to ask questions about the book and also buy and get a copy signed after the program. He's going to tell us a little bit about the book. He's going to read from it, and then we'll have the opportunity to speak to him at the book signing table. Nick and DuBose moved to this island in the mid-1950s. If my math is right, that's about a little more than 60 years ago. The young couple built themselves a house on Peters Point Road where they live to this very day in the same house. And in addition to raising their 10 children on Edisto, Nick has taught literature and advanced writing for 30 years at Goshen College in Indiana. He has published 7 books of poetry. He's published 3 in a series of Edisto Island oral history books. We are familiar with most of those, And I'm Glad, Sam Gadsden Tells the Story, and The Life and Times of Bubberson Brown. And all the while, he's been making a living and supporting his family, that big family, as a carpenter and boat builder here on this little sea island that we call Edisto. In addition to all of that, Nick and DuBose have always been willing to host a salon at that house, and all it takes to be invited to the salon is to drop by at any time and ask a question or raise a subject about philosophy, poetry, literature, life, or almost anything else. At one such discussion exactly 12 years ago, I must have confessed to an interest in verse drama or verse narrative because Nick immediately got up and mysteriously went into a closet and started rummaging around the floor of the closet in a big box. And he came out with this book and handed it to me and sat back and waited for me to peruse the book. I perused briefly. He indicated that was not long enough, so I perused for a long time. This book was the prototype of the book we're celebrating tonight, Esau Lanier, A Sea Island Prince. I immediately realized I had to justify my claim to being an expert on narrative drama and verse drama. So I looked through it and I said, well, it's interesting that each page appears to be a stanza, and each stanza looks very much like a sonnet, but they're not real sonnets because it's not an English sonnet. The line endings are all wrong. The accents are wrong. It's not an Italian sonnet. But it's an interesting form. And he said, not English, not Italian. He glared at me with a benevolent glare and said, Russian! So I suddenly knew that there was such a thing as a Russian sonnet. And I then endeavored to learn a little bit about it over the last 12 years. And I don't want to try to teach it to anybody, but I do want to just tell you what is involved in writing over 230 individual sonnets, which are not really individual. They're part of a story, and the story is told from beginning to end in the form of these sonnets. Russia's greatest poet, Alexander Pushkin, wrote his celebrated book, Eugene Onegin, using hundreds of sonnets. In it, he told about 2 dandies, one of which was himself, but I'm going to tell you what Nick Lindsay has done using that form. Telling Esau's story in Shakespearean blank verse or stanzas of Elizabethan sonnets would have been challenge enough, but Lindsay set the bar even higher. Turning to Russian poetry for his form, Lindsay has written this stunningly successful narrative in Pushkin sonnets, or Onegin verse, a form invented by Alexander Pushkin and used in his verse novel, Eugene Onegin. The sonnet form calls for 4 iambic tetrameter quatrains and a couplet with a different rhyme scheme for each quatrain and specified feminine and masculine line endings. Unless one get the impression that this sounds like an academic exercise, forget that. This verse tale is told in conversational language with beautiful and terrible images, fascinating and unfamiliar history, operatic song, and indelibly memorable characters. So this is to be an unforgettable voyage. Take a deep breath, give a whoop for the one-man cable ferry boat, and join the Sea Island Prince on his odyssey. So we're going to go ahead and invite Nick to tell us about the book and to read to us from the book, and then we will have some other comments to make as soon as the author finishes his reading.
Well, Jim, you're too good. I mean, really. But thank you. Thank you for that. Yes. Well. You start so. The busy world's bright, loud attention I can't expect to catch with songs. I'd need a wiser art's invention to match thoughts with that soul of bronze, chrome-plated swift. But what I have prayed for, what in the night watches I've stayed for, are words of scope, my friend, to tell this tale to you, or give you hell perhaps, words worthy your precision of mind and heart. I would they were much more refined, yet still they're here. Pray lay aside work's care, let vision come conjured by this life in rhyme, and wrap you round this hour's time. See him where he stands at the edge of the real. It's merely eternal joys, words, girls. He chafes at its too narrow limits. He's set out toward a larger world. Reality is a coastal sliver between two Carolina rivers. Twice weekly there's a steamboat comes to bring down freight from Charleston. The only other public access, unless you wish to swim or float, is the one-man cable ferry boat he's whooping for. It makes dim progress. The outcast white man there in charge is all the motor on this barge. Hooping, you hoop for the ferry, that's Hoopin' Island. Just before you get up on the McKinley, Washington Bridge, you're on an island called Hoopin' Island. Hoopin' Island, you hoop for the ferry there. That's from of old. That's why it got its name. It's Hoopin' Island. And he's hooping for the ferry. Yeah, whoo! Whoa! And then it comes. And who is making, if we were to tell this story, the thing as I went along, it's a very cheaty book because these things are just full of themselves. I mean, this outcast white man is Cliff Bunton. Anybody here knows Cliff Bunton? I think not. All right, you would, Sam. Well, Sam, okay. Yeah, we know about Cliff Bunton, and if there was a contest in stealers, people who steal things on Edisto, Cliff maybe wins, I don't know. He was an honest stealer. He'd say, I'll have that. And he pointed at one time to all the copper in my house that we are still living in. And he took it all, took all the copper. I mean, how am I going to have hot, cold running water? Okay, I'll have that. I mean, he'd let you know and he'd take it. Cliff Bunton. And he is his whole family. Well, see, we'll tell too much in a minute. When it was very essential that they are Presbyterians. The church just about excommunicated the Lindsay family, which we deserved. Of course, we always deserve it. Anyway, that's it. Just as one line: the outcast white man there in charge is all the motor on that barge. Well, I've just begun his story, but then we got to hurry on. Esau goes outward bound by ferry. The bubbles wash away astern. How can his heart feel light and merry What is it that he hopes to learn? A flock of ducks rise from the waters. They scramble heavenward, fly outward. The flock of southbound ducks flies by. They scrawl a savin in the sky. The day is gray in blind migration. The ducks leave fish behind and nest. Esau leaves gentle lawlessness and peaceful island isolation. Have I struck promised land or hell, thinks he. It's time alone will tell. 736. The cable ferry crossed the river, as I have mentioned once before. Lanier took it to cross over. Incidentally, who is this Esau Lanier? Well, it's Gussie Maggot. And the Maggots, the place is full of them. Wonderful family, the Maggots. Emily Maggot used to run the Dodge plantation. She ran it. I mean, absolutely. When she said, look, I'm tired, I got to retire. What happened to the Dodgers? They said, okay, that's it for us. They took off to Philadelphia and flown and gone. And they said, well, you can't get along without Aunt P running. She's a Maggot. She married Esau's eldest boy. I mean, the island is full of Maggots. But you know what? On this island, we have two races of people. Can that be? How can we live on this island with two completely, this divided island? How can that be? And the Maggots, of course, are, this group of Maggots is actually Michael's. What? Michael's is a white family? Be quiet. Okay, the cable ferry. Out, gone. Farewell. I done struck promised land or hell, says he. It's time alone will tell. Thou open road with secret laughter, to call with such enticing grace. He found thee first, I followed after, had wearied of my paradise, as he had. Started in to ramble, crossed the river, took the gamble, and went 1,000 miles from home. He walked 200 miles alone, and took work in the mighty kitchens at the camp of Maxwell's Lumber Inc. The colored bunkhouses there stank. There he first met real segregation. Back home that beast less bitter bites, where scarcely 10% are whites. You talk about Edisto, the minority. Who is the minority? Yeah, come on. About 5% is European, and about 95 or more percent is African. That's, oh, well, how about that? How about trying for a minority? His daily task is cooking victuals, is stirring soup and washing pots and guarding meat on greasy griddles, soapstoning them while they are hot. The whole place bursts with its importance. Big deals, big wheels, and sudden fortunes. Esau no more sees lark nor wren, but hundreds of those hungry men. The plant floods forth its seas of lumber, great heaps of sawdust rot in rains. They load the flood of boards on trains which belch, screech north with smoke and thunder. The land moans with modernity. The boss man owns a Model T. Scene, a huge kitchen. Early morning. Lanier's just begun the fight. The tale's complex, with little warning. A buddy jumped him. Knife. Hits bright. Illustration. Picture. Knife. Yes. Okay. The knife, it's a knife. Bright. Plunging downward. What a disaster. If Esau dies, this song's done faster than I had thought. Verse is a pest. I'm all tired out. I got to rest. Pray do forgive me this exhaustion. Yet anyhow, here's chapter 1 of this biography and song. What I intend, you have some notion. I've sketched my hero and my plan I'll finish someday if I can. And I wrote that, and it was quite a while, months before I returned to this tedious labor of, and as you have floods of lumber coming out of this Maxwell's Lumber Inc., well, you've got to have logs going in. How do those logs get in there? Why did they have to get there with a mule? A mule? What's wrong with a tractor? Well, you wouldn't have a tractor then for that work. Use a mule. A mule. Nah, Edisto man loves his mule. Boberson Brown, I listened to him. I sat at his knee and wrote down anything he'd say to me. He was the hero of every story he told. Hey, hooray for Boberson. And anyway, he had a beloved mule. And so after a while, Henrietta, his wife, she made him a girl child. And he thought that was such a wonderful mule that he named his girl Carrie. The mule was Carrie, so naturally he named the girl Carrie. So Carrie Brown entered the population of Edisto because Boberson loved that mule. First, my old Jerry is a good old mule, a good hard worker, but he ain't no fool. Work get hard, oh, Jerry gets sore. He had done so much he wouldn't do no more. I got timber, timber, oh, this timber gotta roll. Lord, this timber gotta roll. Boss tried to shoot, oh, Jerry in the head. Jerry dodged a bullet and stomp him dead. He stomped so hard, I wanted to scream. Hey, you should have killed him, he's so damn mean. Timber, timber, oh, this timber gotta roll. Oh, this timber gotta roll. That story is going on, and that lumber, the pine logs are coming into that mill, and they're manufactured into lumber, and it's a it's a big activity, all that thing, and the story here is about what happens when a man who loves a mule has to learn a tractor. Now, well, I'm attached in a way to a tractor because when I finished school, I went to college and everything like that. And I said, I will be a teacher. Isn't that a good idea? Oh, I'll be a teacher, yeah. And at that time, if you would be a tractor driver, you would make something like 10% more than South Carolina was paying its teachers. So you go teach school, and the children say, hey, yeah, oh, okay, yeah, I see, you got a college degree, all that stuff. But how do you really make a living? Okay, well, we're talking about tractor driver. But if you are a mule driver, how are you going to swap off for a tractor? The story, it ends, well, it deals with that question. Well, how do Bose and I work? We work very well together. We had a ditch all the time. We're working, and she's reading to me. Isn't that great? And so, okay, we were digging a ditch for Chal Murray, and it was toward the end of his life, and it took a good bit to keep those ditches and those sewer lines clean because he wasn't adjusting his corn very well. So you had to keep kind of cleaning up and opening out the drains. Okay, well, and she was reading to me, and the thing she was reading was Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky, one thing he was Dostoevsky writing is called The Idiot. Well, what is this idiot he's writing about? His attempt to describe a completely virtuous man. Oh, yeah, the idiot. I mean, he was certified by the end of the story. That's Dostoevsky's version of it. And then another one, which was called The Gambler. And this was about a woman, a young woman. Actually, it was Dostoevsky's second wife. And she would all time bet on zero and win. Who was that zero? Dostoevsky. Yeah. Oh, well, hey, let's get some Russian, bring it home. Because at that time, there was hardly a better post-Christian civilization than Edisto, or South Carolina, or USA for that matter. So we went north. We went north and got some, we went to get some Russian and bring them home. And that's how come we got fooling around with this Russian thing. Sent her up north. And I was working down here to make the wages for the family, well, boats and houses. And boats will always leak. So you got a job there, you know. Houses are the same way. They're pretty persistent. And so, okay, we were making a living and sent her up north there. And she went looking for a house, the student housing. They sent her off and said, "Okay, here's an address. Go rent this house." Whoa. I mean, that was all right for rich people, that house. It was in New Jersey, and no. But anyway, she's riding the bus. I'm telling her story now. And she tells it better. But anyway, she's on the bus going to that address, and here's a little old lady gets on, and she has one of these hats that you crochet, a crochet hat. And the boss says, "Well, what a fine hat." Yes, I crochet a hat, and I wear my crochet. I make hats. I'm Russian, and you have to escape from Stalin the best way you can. And I got out on my bare feet, my plain feet, snorgi. That's how you say it in Russian. How do you get out of it? Snorgi. That's on my own 2 feet. Isn't it easy? Isn't Russian an easy language? Snorgi. Okay, well, anyway, she said it. And then the boss said, "Yeah, well, that's hard. You wear that hat to go visiting on Sunday afternoons." Yeah, that's what I use it for. She said, "Oh, it takes a lot of courage to just face people in the Sunday afternoon breeze like that in the easy times." And the old lady said, "People are all right, but they are cowards, cowards, cowards." Isn't that a wonderful evaluation of the human race? I just think that's just great. And then, so the boys found a house finally, really a very inexpensive house. And we brought the whole family, had 7 girls and no boys at all. Lost our first child on a boy. Our first son, we lost him on Edisto. We were putting this steeple on the white Episcopal church, and that's pretty hard work for a pregnant young woman. And okay, we lost our firstborn son that way, and so we didn't have but the 7 girls, just 7 girls. Well, that's a good handful. And that whole gang of us went up north, went to Columbia University, and we said, "Well, okay, we want to study Russian." They said, "Okay, come on, study Russian. Slavic and East European languages." Come on, we'll pay you then by the head. The more children you had, the better wage you got. Isn't that wonderful? I mean, it's really very nice. And but then anyway, we got in line. I got in. So, okay, I take this course, that course, that course. Check them off. Linguistics, this thing, that thing, other thing. Get to the end of the line, now pay. Oh, yeah, Well, it turned out a little brief conversation. That's a tough conversation, right? We'll all agree. Now pay. That's a tough conversation. Well, anyway, and so I stretched out a little bit. Turned out this is a young black man from South Carolina. And so, too bad for him. No, for Columbia University budgeting, I guess. But anyway, I said, "Well, I'm going to get some Russian here, at home." Same thing I was just telling you, that it seems to me that it was a very good time, since we are one of the best post-Christian civilizations for, both because you had the abolition of serfdom and the emancipation of slavery almost not the same day, but within a month or two. So I mean, there's a lot, nothing more inefficient than the Russian peasant and the Edisto African person, if their notion to be, inefficient. Well, and so I talked to him. I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to go carry some Russian home. Or do you want to do it?" I mean, there he was. He was in Columbia, and he was pretty well situated. So I said, then instead of me paying you, you pay me. And he did. How about that? I mean, really, I'm just telling what happened. And, well, it can happen, and it did. Anyway, that's Russian, and that's how we got there? Signing up, yeah, now pay. Okay, so, yeah, all that thing. It says here it's worthwhile paying attention to the form, but Jim said that if you care about it says, "Aniegen dobry mój приятель родился на берегах Невы, где, может быть, родились и блистали мечтаты. Там некогда гулял и я, но вреден север для меня." Okay, this is the way it goes, the verse form in Russian. And, okay, it says here, that's where it comes from. It's from this form that I was just telling you. My dear friend Onegin was born on the shores of the Neva River. Sometimes I was there myself. Tam niekada gulia i ja. Sometimes I was there, even myself, but I found out, well, he was just about shot. Well, of course, being Russian, that's the way it worked out. So that he says, well, the northern climate doesn't quite agree with me. Well, okay, that was the problem that Russians continually face, that awkwardness. Lead poisoning, yeah. Okay, vredin sever, yeah. Anyway, and the masculine, it says here, it is worth noticing. You take let's take American poetry. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. Those are masculine rhymes. Though, no. Hickory, dickory, dock, masculine rhyme. Accented, single syllable. Hickory, dickory, dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck one, the mouse ran down. Hickory, dickory, dock. That's all masculine rhyme. Nothing wrong with it, you know. Look, I'm not a feminist, but nonetheless, it is nice to get some variety in here. And you take, who breaks that rule is Edgar Allan Poe. Like he says, once upon a midnight dreary, that's feminine because it has accented and unaccented, dreary. As I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint volume of forgotten lore, suddenly there came a tapping as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. There's a masculine rhyme. No, I'm not sure it's the first one or what, but it's lonesome. Knocking at my chamber door, only this and nothing more. Now, those are two masculine rhymes, but the rest of that of Poe is, it is a very dense feminine rhyme scheme. Okay, it says talk about that. And, well, it's worth knowing that you get a very large variety. There's a lot of help in that. You take these words, morning, warning, fight, bright, disaster, faster. It's a mixture of masculine and feminine, pest, rest, exhaustion, chapter 1, song. And now I have rhymed here exhaustion with some notion. This exhaustion, you have some notion, stretching it, and then it says, I've sketched my hero and my plan. I'll finish someday if I can. Okay, well, that's decently ends it with a masculine rhyme couplet. All of them do that, and I find that you just learn so much. The poem teaches you. A poem will often rise up and curse you to your face. You can't. A poem is not a grateful child, not in my experience anyway. It's really valuable to notice how this thing ends. A fair wage. There's stuff in there. Wonder how much of your time have I wasted so far? Okay, 7. Oh, come on, but you're too nice. Thank you. You're generous to say that. A mockingbird coasts up to flutter his gaud, plumes white, gray, bright and bold. He chuckles, branch bobbing, now peep, utter, splash, red, six sailing in with gold-rimmed eyes. Peep, cardinals, they crackle, small seeds, hop suddenly. Black hands here, knuckles, grip, hold, chop, wound, black earth. Green plants, he's dressed in cast-off shirt and pants of dusty gray, some buttons missing, that hide show. Slack around the waist, his rope cinched a sack top, his shoes unlaced, his face and stringy muscled body glisten, while pines hush, listen, hush, this tree, what distant boom and hiss, the sea. The cast iron hoe chops slowly nearer to a woman and child, sun, hot wind, hot iron. But who is this man, Lanier? Is this scarecrow person my old friend, my advocate? It's him. He stretches, he hangs his hoe up in the branches, takes off his left shoe, dumps out the sand. He beats the shoe against his hand. This June, the Great Depression's ending. The CCC is going strong. The Second World War won't be long. Yet here this heedless hero is sending his right shoe pebbles flying high, long arcs against the hard blue sky. Not socio-financial system, nor yoke of wages, nor the man's intent have marked nor broken Esau, for he laughs freely, speaks epigrams, as though all this life and labor were his very own, like Mancy's baby. Well, Catherine, that's Gussie's wife, but I named her Mancy. I changed the names. Okay, it's a convention. Dear Abby does it, I'll do it too. Like Mancy's baby. They eat their meal, he yawns and gaps, he picks his teeth and takes a nap. What, no blame, no resentment? So thin and raggedy he ought by rights to see he's trapped and caught, is the object of each social sentence, for he's subject to each trial and whim of boss, man, bug, or winter wind. This man and woman, their talks blazoned with jewels of transience since the dawn of time. He's absolute complacent, whose 3 months made a child upon her, who speaks alert circumspection, alive to threats from all directions, from God, from man. Death's quick, we know, the world is cruel. She must lay low, who's been well laid. Gulls swoop by, mewing. They like to snatch some precious food. The child gnaws on a stick of wood, industriously spits. He's chewing as though to win some sort of prize. His eyes are thoughtful, large and wise. It's Saturday. Esau all morning has worked his own small crop across the 4 preceding days, was hoeing green cabbage rows. God, what his boss was actually J.G. Murray, really a fine man. But anyway, what his boss in all good faith calls ample wages. $2 a day plus, wrapped in pages of newsprint, 2 pounds of butts meat. The seed and fertilizer he will need for this year's crop he must buy on credit. Gets the use of land, a 3-room house, no privy, but the woods are close. That house, the Smithsonian has taken it apart and carried it to Washington, D.C. Each little peg and everything about that, they carried it up to Washington. That very house, the house I'm talking about here, his house, a 3-room house, yeah, and carried it up there. They were going to try and put it up here at the museum, Edisto Museum. No, nobody could afford to put those pegs back in the holes. Come up to Washington, get I don't have federal grant, God be with them. No privy, but the woods are close. The drinking water is sweet. They get it from a roundy well that's down the street where women, wives, and gossip meet. That well has just only recently been filled in. Okay, well, there's an important line here after a while. Oh, yeah. I have to say, let's finish it. I'll finish. At the end, what happened with me and Esau, me and Gussie. I had the impression that I had to pay him wages. Man, you don't work for nothing, huh? No. Gussie said, well, come, it's all right. You know, if there's money, give me some. If there's not any, well, don't worry about that. What? Outrageous. Impossible. I mean, slavery is gone a long time ago. You know, oh yeah? Well, and then, so after a while, he would keep coming to work. And I'd tell him, Gussie, I can't pay you. Just stay home. Well, and then after a while, first I used to go get him at his house, come back and go on to work. And we were doing our work. It's described here, the kind of work we were doing. And then one day, finally, I carried him back home. He walked. For a long time, he walked all the way from, out there, kind of, no, what do you call it? What do you call it out there, the boy? Point of Pines. No, Point of Pines out the other way. Anyway, out there where they had that rock concert just lately. Anyway, huh? Okay, well, that's where his house was. Anyway, and he'd walk from there all the way, 6 miles maybe, and he'd be at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay, well, I carried him. Finally, one day I said, Esau, that's it. I carried him home, put him out the car. I said, okay, no wages? Well, I can't work here. And here's what he said. He said, and so, Captain, you cast me down, and just for money. And those are the last words I heard him speak. He's dead after that. So that's Edisto. And so, Captain, you cast me down, and just for money. Ah. Well, that's an important line. And the end of it bids the reader, this is Pushkin, I stole it all. Here's a rule. I tried to teach people to write poetry. I said, do this, steal. Do not borrow anything. Steal it. Make it your own. Now, and so that's, I stole this ending. Okay, here, he's dead. Here's how he died. He died so hard he bust his shoelace. Died so hard he popped his shoelace. His heart been stopped, his breath been quit, then Reverend bless there, speak so foolish, such talk drive Esau off you, not I do believe it. You must hush now, don't speak of Esau's soul, you must not. He dead, I curb my tongue, you right. Hear what bless say, how low he lie, how low the Lord of all creation. The king is dead, long live the king. You ever hear such a more fool thing than that? And most men stand at attention. He done been feel, there ain't no pulse. Bless Bray. Oh man, kiss earth, sweet face. A neighbor woman speaks. The preacher, he must talk so, that's what he sell. Must kind of drum up trade with such as that. Or he done smell so bad. Must be a long time rotting on the inside for old Bud come catch him on Edisto. How you say death? Death is going to come and get you. Old Bud, yeah, you call death old Bud. Old Bud coming around. Old Bud coming around. Will you be ready when he comes? They say, old Bud, he's calmed her. Old Bud built a house. He built a house. That house going to stand forever. And then the other voice says, that calmed her. You're sorry calmed her. Old Bud didn't know calmed her at all. That house won't last at all. It crumbled down. Yeah, it won't last. Okay, that's old Bud. For he done smell so bad, must be a long time writing before old Bud come get him. Maybe it's true, but it ain't read in you speaking so plain tonight. Tonight is plain. Lord knows tomorrow we may be find it done too late. We all be done and suffocate by then. He meet with death, we sorrow. How a dead man's stink is up to him. Shrieks, sounds of wailing from within. Isn't that good? How a dead man's stink is up to him. Shrieks, sounds of wailing from within. Lucky that man's a lucky gambler who, when he's young, has dared to trust this fatal world, a distant rambler surviving horror, joy, and lust, all undismayed. Lucky his hour of brief man's strength, if he find power to pour himself, his sweat and seed, whole-souled, to fill his neighbor's need. But blessed he, if, parched in glaring the slaggy fires, a dull old age, charred agues, blurred eyes, burnt out rage, may speak to ease our terror ragged, us swirled in the rising plague and flood of witless witnesses and blood called history. Such words a laughter, perhaps, or visions non-desiring, spoken to us coming after, make respite places in the fire of avaricious reason, raging, onrushing, progress, that contagion called history. A burning sea, ships nigh torpedoed, you and I swim underneath, will surely perish unless we find some hole and fling face through fire, draw one breath in. I burn, oh burn, what? May I cherish both flame and flesh? Soul seas burn hate since Adam slammed the garden gate. The fur-clad Gaul, stout, tribal savage, infected by the Roman yoke, became a pestilence to ravage and sweep away the cultured folk of pagan Rome. That shattered soil he planted with his seed and toil, gave faith the gestation she I once. She bore the brawling Renaissance who trumpets progress, reason, pleasure, cast off the shackles of the mind. This is Bertrand Russell now talking. Cast off the shackles of the mind. Belief in unseen things is blind. Scorn we to mark what can't be measured. Faith against faith, scorn, steel, hell's breath, blight, famine, pestilence, and death called history. Civilization, the crush of unreality. Destin, la peste, chuma. There's the Russian. Chuma, contagion, gold rot, or practicality. Indians once saw a white god devil of avarice, disease, and evil advance, blighting the virgin land, gold and corruption hand in hand. The red man now wins restitution, now coins to cash on ancestral blood, sues in the lawless courts where good hard cash cools vengeance. Prostitution, could it be made a sterner stuff? But this tale's at an end. Enough. For staring up into the ceiling with rigor mortis setting in, we've left the troublesome Lanier 5 stanzas back. Very well, friend, reader, may we forgive each other? Is possible, as brother, forgive at least the book, its boasts, its jibes, wild stratagems, and ghosts. Forgive, yes, death, and pale, frivolous, intangible equality, goddess of mass society. May the word of Esau watch between us. He was most tangible, flesh, bone, and royal blood. This tale is done.
What a final line. This tale is done. I think that is wonderful. I hope everybody will be interested in reading this book. It's a little difficult to give the flavor in reading from this part and that part in the beginning and the end, but believe me, it is a story. I've read it from cover to cover 3 times. It is a wonderful story, wonderful characters. It's drenched in Edisto culture and history and characters, as you've heard a lot of tonight, and it sounds complicated when you describe how it's crafted, but it isn't. It is just a wonderful story. So please don't hesitate to dig into it. Nick, we have two presentations to make. The first, I'll take care of myself. Out of a total absence of authority, but with an abundance of exuberance and enthusiasm, the Edisto Island Art Guild hereby bestows upon Nicholas Cage Lindsay the title of Poet Laureate of Edisto Island. With all of the privileges and emoluments thereto appertaining.
Oh, hey.